Today we're going to talk about a handicraft that we're doing this term in our homeschool. And if you do the Charlotte Mason method, you know that handicrafts are very important. We're doing handicrafts 2 to 3 times a week, along with chalk, pastels, and brush drawing with watercolors. So today we're going to talk about clay modeling. Now, this is a resource that was printed in the early 1900s, and it was on Charlotte Mason's curriculum book list. It is a gem. If you are trying to do clay modeling in your homeschool or even in your classroom as a public school teacher, this book is a must. I love how it's laid out. It's so easy. It was written for teachers, and I highly recommend it. I believe it's in the public domain, and I'll link that in the post if it is, or you can just buy a reprint. I think this was $8 on Amazon, but I'll make sure to link it. What I love about this is how easily it is laid out per lessons with step-by-step instructions for the teacher. And I will sometimes just read these instructions out loud since I am a novice when it comes to this. It makes it so easy, and I highly recommend spending some time reading over the introduction and everything that's included before the lessons, because it's very important of how to implement the lessons, and she will refer to them, those points throughout all the lessons in the instructions. So I want to begin by just reading a quote from the preface. Modeling is superior to drawing, for objects which are drawn must be represented as they appear, whereas objects that are modeled must be treated as a whole, just as they are in nature. The expression of an object with pencil or brush is a reduction of what is handled in space of 3 dimensions. But in modeling, the student deals with a round, with mass, and with bodies as they are fully known to us. As artists in words must acquire command over language, so the modeler must learn to express in clay the ideas which he has derived from an accurate study of some natural object. And so Hermione goes on to say that clay modeling should be done first before drawing, or if they have to go hand in hand, you should always make sure that you do clay modeling, and then whatever you draw, you should include the object that you have done in clay modeling for a drawing lesson. So for the first lesson, you do an orange. So whatever you're doing for drawing, we're doing brush drawing and chalk pastel. We are going to be doing chalk pastel orange as well to help understand the 3-dimension, but also the plane of the paper as well when you draw it. And I just love how it is easily explained as to why clay modeling is important. And then in the introduction, there are just points, and then there are different points as to how to teach, why it's important, what tools are needed, and her reasoning. And it also talks about the powers that are developed in clay modeling and why it's so important. And then it will go over the tools that are needed with pictures, which are very great for me. And you actually do not need a lot of tools, which I was surprised because I ended up buying this huge bag of tools from Amazon, and we only need like 5 of them. So don't waste your money, just get good quality tools. And really, this is all that you need for your lessons in this book. And the one thing I will recommend is make sure that you get the wire cutting tool. I don't know what it's called, but this is really helpful for when you're cutting the clay or getting pieces of clay off. And I think most tool kits have this. So you definitely want this, whatever it is called. I do not know. But other than that, you really only need like I think it's called a mirrorette, or a tool like this, maybe different sizes, but this is good for hollowing out. And then these like knitting needle type tools, and any long and skinny ones. I have like this cutting, and then, oh, here's another of the hollowing out tool. But you really do not need a lot, just a couple, especially if you have more than one student. And then she also talks about, which was new to me, is called the Armature. And there is a picture in here of what it would look like. And my husband made them, and I can link I found a plan of how to make them from a different homeschooling website, and I will link that below because you can make it yourself. And it's just a board, and I believe this is pine, and then you have this metal bolt, and my husband just sanded off all the rings around it. And then on the bottom in the picture there were wood pieces that went across as the feet, but we have these little felt pads that we put on the bottom. Either way, it's just meant for it to kind of be off of the table just a little bit and not slip around, but you still want to be able to move it around as you use it. Now, why is this important? I had no idea. It's important though because what you end up doing is you make a slab of clay that your object, or the model that you're making of an object goes on. So you need to be able to put a small square slab of clay, and then whatever you're modeling or making, you put on top of the slab, and this holds it in place. And then when you want to remove it, to dry it, or just to start again, you remove the whole thing, including the square slab. And by doing that, it preserves your model. Clean this up and you start again. So again, my husband made this. I mean, if there's enough interest, I'm sure my husband can make some and we could sell them if people are really interested. So you need that. You also need sponges. Now my kit came with a sponge with all my tools, but then I needed 4 because I have 3 students that are doing this with me, and then the teacher is encouraged to do it herself. So you just need sponges. And then sometimes we put the sponges in bowls because you need water to work with the clay so it doesn't stick to you. But other than that, you just need clay, tools, an armature, a sponge, and of course, this book. And like I said, you're gonna work through this, and each lesson has pictures, and you slowly build your skill level and your confidence. And a lot of the things that you're making are natural objects found in nature. And you are encouraged to actually get the object, not a fake one or a picture of one, because then you can't even see the 3D model of it, because you want to be able to see all the sides of it. So if you do an orange, get enough oranges for every student. So just make sure that you have your model. So you do need to plan a little bit ahead of time so that when you open up the book, you know what you're doing and you have the object that you're doing. But other than that, once you learn how to make the slab, once you have your armature and you know how to make the slab, which is super basic, you're set to go. And it is pretty open and go from there when you read the directions. And there are some helpful tips in the introduction to just encourage you and your students. So I hope this was helpful. I highly, highly, highly recommend this resource. Don't be afraid of clay modeling. I never did clay modeling, and I was very overwhelmed at first at the idea, but this book is a must. It lays out everything that you need to do and how to do it.